Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the Tony Sirianni podcast. I am thrilled to have Onur Erzan with us. He is the head of Alliance Bernstein Private Wealth. So thanks for being with us, Onur.
Thank you, Tony. Thanks for having me.
Well, my pleasure. Alliance Bernstein has an old, well-known name on Wall Street, right? So it has a great history. Just do me a favor, give me an update on where it is today.
Sure. I always joke with my colleagues that sometimes we are a well-kept secret on Wall Street because we have always the global reach and scale of a large asset manager. We manage close to $800 billion. But then we still have an intimate private wealth management business. It's a entrepreneurial part of our culture and our integrated asset and wealth management business. And I call it entrepreneurial and intimate because we operate out of 20 offices and we have 300 advisors. So you have a little bit of that global resources in the background that our clients and advisors can access, but we still have a strong culture that is tightly knit together, and we are very proud of our history as well.
Well, the whole that brings up an immediate, question for me, which is, so you have 300, 800 billion is an enormous, number, right? And you have 300 advisors, and culturally, the advisors and the money managers, I mean, they're sort of in proximity, right, in some of the offices, and I'm just wondering how that dynamic works to sort of help a wealth manager. I'm thinking specifically, are they reaching out to the money manager? Are the money managers, wanting to be part of that, or how do you manage that?
No, absolutely. I think it's something that really sets us apart. I really feel the connectivity and proximity to how the money is managed is a differentiated capability and insight we have. Let me use an example to bring it to life, right? So remember in 2022, we had some challenges with the regional banking crisis, right? At that moment, everybody, including us, got quite nervous about the direction of the markets, what's going to happen to the financial system, banks, etc. And in that moment, like within less than 24 hours, we were able to get our community bank equity product PM. We got the financials research team members from our different equity teams. We managed 20 separate active equity strategies under the asset management umbrella, which obviously supports both our wealth business, but also our third-party distribution on the asset management side. And having that kind of connectivity, and we put out a Zoom with all these subject matter experts, opened it up to all of our advisors. Everybody could ask their questions. And then, again, after another 24 hours, we opened it up to our clients. I think the speed and the breadth of experience that we can bring together is really remarkable. It was one of the really proud moments, at least in my experience.
I think compare that to your typical RIA that has absolutely no access to that, or typically it's really hard to get access to asset managers, to talk to your clients or get information. So I consider that a huge advantage.
No, absolutely, and it also carries itself to now privates, right? So we also manage a significant amount of private alternatives, primarily private credit assets, around $60 billion.
Wow.
And, recently, again, one other example to bring it to life, there has been a lot of questions about whether we hit the bottom in the real estate cycle, what's going to happen to commercial real estate, all those kind of questions. And we were able to curate a panel of, again, investors from our different private credit teams that we work with, and then we put them in a roadshow and put it in front of our clients in different local offices. Again, a great collaboration.
It's a huge differentiator. My feeling is that AI is coming, right? So AI is going to be able to, it can only look backwards, right? And it can only look at publicly traded information, but it is going to be able to start saying, well, these are the best ETFs and this is the best, it's going to be a challenge for advisors. So if I'm looking to differentiate myself, I really need to have access to the private markets, right? Because that's something that AI can't do because it's not public information, right? So you're talking about giving yourself an advantage with clients. I think that in the future, it's only going to be more important.
No, 100%. And the other aspect of it is, obviously investment solutions is critical. But the other way to differentiate is, the holistic advice. I know it's a slightly overused word, holistic
Yeah.
advice, but we really emphasize also on the softer aspects of the complexity of wealth, right? Given our focus is high net worth and ultra high net worth clients, I mean, we know that there is more demand for advice and holistic thinking post the COVID, right? Now people want to have more in-person or remote, but human touch. And within that, it's not only the hard content of the product or the financials behind the financial plan, but it's all about the broader thinking, whether it's the family governance, family values, succession in family businesses. There are a lot of broader topics that cannot be, I think, at least today, can be automated through generative AI or other forms of advanced analytics.
Absolutely. And you also bring up a point, and advisors don't like to think about this, but as a practical matter, if you don't have $5 million or $6 million, the estate planning thing becomes less important. But when you have over that number, you do really need somebody who's on top of it and can help you and access, services. Because as a practical matter, wealth managers need support of, attorneys, lawyers, whatever it might be, but the resources to do it.
100%. And in our busy lives, bringing it all together is also very important, right? So obviously we have a great network of estate lawyers, other advisors, bankers, accountants, and the list goes on. But ultimately, you need to be able to put it all together and make it easy for the kind of individual to navigate the complexity, right? And having a little bit of an independent, quote unquote, quarterback who could also, sit on the side of the client to be able to put it together and draw implications.
Yeah, critically important. And again, differentiated from a standard RIA that has to go out and search all that stuff. You have to sort of, put it together and you cobble together sort of a Frankenstein instead of having something that's, organized.
100%. Yeah, again, it's the balance between having the scale and resources while not creating a bureaucracy so that you can be nimble and be really client-driven.
Yeah, that's great. And also, relationship through Equitable, it's a strong balance sheet. So that's also, I think, a differentiator from some of the other, folks out there in the RIA world or that are looking to roll up RIAs. I mean, that's the competition out there,
Yeah, for sure. Again, we are quite unique in that regard as well. Obviously, we are also New York Stock Exchange listed, so we have our own sources of capital and can tap into capital markets through that. And then Equitable is a strategic shareholder, and we have a lot of collaboration with them on different types of initiatives. It's a wide range, but for instance, that's one of the private alternatives is one of the areas that we work with together with Equitable, managing a large chunk of the Equitable balance sheet.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, patient capital, right? That's what you would call that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, look, you have been a pioneer and a veteran of this industry. You know this. I mean, right now there's so much financial capital chasing opportunities in the space. I think there is a little bit of a extreme bias on thinking about EBITDAs and how many deals and all that. Obviously, we are growth driven as well. But ultimately, we take a long-term view. We want to be the patient capital looking for the right opportunities versus trying to solve for a number in a spreadsheet.
Yeah. I think that's another differentiator too, right? I mean, the idea of long-term and that typically comports with an advisor trying to build an ultra high net worth business, as well, because I think those type of clients understand that.
Yeah, 100%. And as you know, typically the wealth formation at the ultra high net worth client level is tied to some liquidation or monetization event, right? It could be tied to a business or some other hard asset. So you need to take a long-term view because you might not have all the liquid assets to manage on day one, but you need to stay with the client, add value, and then wait for that day that they will have, larger pools of liquid assets to be managed.
No question about that. Well, something else I think that's interesting is, so if I'm an RIA and I'm on my own, right, I can see the advantages here because I've got, it's not just the patient capital, it's these resources and things that you guys bring to the table. But one of the big concerns, as our business ages, right, and as advisors are getting older, It's really hard to find partners. It's really hard to get a, I mean, you can have all the plans you want for succession, but if you don't have anybody to execute it, or you don't have a partner who's willing maybe to invest in your business or to find somebody else to help you, it's really difficult to do.
Yeah, 100%. It's also lifetime worth of investment in these practices, right? So it's typically your baby, and you need to find the transition solution for yourself, for your family, and for your clients. It's a very personal affair. So that's why I think it's important to understand the fit both between the advisor that's looking for a new platform and the platform itself. And I don't think there's one size fits all. But again, for the advisors that are really kind of high net worth, ultra high net worth oriented, looking for a longer term solution, very investment and holistic planning driven, both hard and softer elements of planning, I think we offer a pretty good solution.
Yeah, and you know, the ability maybe for trainees, or there's a program where you can get some younger brokers involved in their businesses too.
100%. Actually, for the ones that have been in the industry for a long time, they know it. I mean, Bernstein's training and advisor development has been one of the big kind of differentiators and calling cards. We always have been a great contributor to the industry by attracting new talent to the industry, developing them in our model. And then that's part of the secret sauce, if you will, by having very committed, high quality and highly performing advisors coming off the ranks from our recruiting system and training. But ultimately, you know, when you get to a larger scale, you need to balance your recruiting program as well. Of course, we will always be very driven by the fresh talent in terms of bringing and molding them in our model. But we also know that there are like-minded advisors out there we can also incorporate into our teams at different levels. So it's not a singular approach. We can use multiple paths to recruiting.
Yeah, well, and again, I think the typical, you know, RIAs that are out there that are, you know, rolling along with venture money and doing roll-ups, they don't have anything like that. There's just no, they just have no access to it. You know,
Absolutely.
so if you were, when you tell the story, I mean, we talked about a bunch of things that are, you know, highlights. When you're sitting with advisors and telling, you know, the Alliance Bernstein story, what do you think resonates most with them out of all those things?
I mean, the pure focus, right? So we are not a financial conglomerate, and we are a pure asset and wealth management firm. So we understand and talk investments. We can deliver complex investment outcomes. I think with most of the advisors, that pure focus and expertise matters. Second, given we have a long-standing, more than 50 years of history across both of these businesses. We are again, publicly listed company, also with a large shareholder. We can take a very long-term view into building and growing businesses rather than looking for the short-term monetary gain and exits. I think that long-term patient capital that we touched on really resonates with advisors because they're looking for individuals who can invest in their practice. And then the final thing is culture. I mean, culture is something that you can only experience. It's hard to talk about it, but I always take pride in not only our client centricity and that client fiduciary mindset with a pure fee-based business model, but also at the same time, I take pride in our internal collaboration. Because the magic happens when you bring the best of a firm in front of the clients. And I think we do a great job in terms of having that collaboration while we are very intellectually curious bunch and we might have different points of view, but ultimately we bring the best together to serve the clients.
So if I was sitting there, I guess prior to this conversation, or prior to you and I talking, we've talked a couple times. So I would have said, oh, this, you know, Alex Bernstein, it's really for breakaway advisors from wirehouse. I would think that would be but it's not just that, right? Tell us a little bit about the type of advisors you're either looking for or that you think work very well in your system.
Yeah, sure. The target profile would be, first of all, again, high net worth and ultra net worth is our focus, right? So if you are focused on different types of client segments, maybe we might
And
or
you have to be a nice person too, right? You don't want to.
yeah, that too. So I think your client's profile matters because we are a relatively sophisticated platform, and hence we lead with that, and that will be important to have the right fit with the clients. We are definitely looking for advisors that kind of take a holistic approach to their clients. It's not only as I mentioned, just the hardcore product focus. Product
Yeah.
is important. You need to articulate your capital markets views, but ultimately, how do you think about, again, longer term financial planning, estate planning, business sales, how to be efficient with that, how to bring family governance, family values, in certain cases on the higher end, family office type of capabilities. So I think you need a relatively holistic thinker as an advisor versus I will just sell product, quote unquote, right? That's not the model we are looking for. And ultimately, we are looking for entrepreneurial folks who are committed to growing their business, because at the end of the day, great things happen when we are all growing together, and that is part of our DNA in the Bernstein Private Wealth, the entrepreneurial, growth-oriented culture.
And that's RIAs, bank, private bankers, people in the bank, all that, everything. All those guys.
100%. Yeah, exactly. I don't think we have a bias for one business model versus the other. It again just that depends on the preferences and characteristics of the advisor himself or herself. And by the way, I'm emphasizing the herself part. I mean, we believe one of the biggest opportunities in wealth management is the growing role of women in financial decision making as the main decision maker in main households. Because of growing female executives and leaders in different businesses, but also the whole demographics of women inheriting more wealth and our ability to really have differentiated solutions for those clients.
Yeah, we have a great women's advisor network here at AdvisorHub. It works great, and 100%, we're aligned with that thinking. It's just good business sense to help figure that out.
100%.
So, lastly, believe it or not, we're already 20 minutes or so. But is this my daughter just got in this business? So speaking of women in the business, right? So
Congratulations!
Thank you. She's studying for she's with an all woman firm too, so it's kind of fun, and she's studying to get her license. So, what if your kids are getting into this business? What do you tell them? You think there's a bright future here in wealth management, or what would you say?
Absolutely. I'm very passionate about this business. And I wish my kids who are young will be interested in financial services and wealth management. It would be fun to see them in action. The reason I'm very bullish is, there's a lot of innovation in broader financial services and wealth management. So there's a evergreen opportunity to add value to clients as a financial advisor by bringing new set of tools, capabilities. We haven't touched a lot on technology beyond the AI conversation. So technology offers a lot of opportunities both for clients and advisors to build really scalable practices, really delight the clients with a differentiated experience, whether it's the onboarding, whether it's the reporting, whether it's the engagement overall. And on top of that, there is a growing set of complexities in people's lives, not to mention the shortage of time to spend on your personal financial affairs. But, think about all the things that you need to deal with, now ETFs, SMAs, alternatives, crypto, and the list goes on. And for the average individual, even for the very well-educated, sophisticated client, they need a hand-holding, they need a guide. And I think with the possibilities of innovation, with the needs of the clients, it's a phenomenal place where the supply of capabilities matches with the future demand. And it's a hard profession. So as a result, only the best make it to the end. So as a result, there's not going to be, millions of successful financial advisors. This is the beauty and challenge of this business. But the best advisors, I think, will continue to have very prosperous careers, and they will add tremendous amount of value for their clients. That's why I'm passionate.
Oh, fantastic. Well, look, I'm going to end on that. That's a high note. So I like that idea. Well, thank you, Onur, for being on the show. We'll have more of these conversations. I really appreciate you being here.
No, thank you. Look forward to staying in touch.
Great.